Okay, hello there. Welcome to the second talking video for today. And yeah, with what I have here on this subject, this is more of a fun thing to talk about. And this is also really just encouragement and something that I would recommend. And before I get into this topic and everything, I want to say that I am not trying to brag when I talk about some past experiences that I have had in my life, but rather I would like to talk about how some of these past experiences have made me feel very happy, and they are good memories for me. And I would just like to encourage anyone out there that if they are interested in this subject, that maybe you will feel inspired to do the same thing. And with what you see when you read the title and when you look at my t-shirt, which has Ringo Starr on it, you might know what it means when I say, go see them while they're still around. Go see them while they're still around. This is the encouragement for me by saying, go see the musicians who are up there in older age while they are still around and touring and living, because in 20 years from now, or even in 10 years from now, for some people, it may no longer be possible. The unexpected can happen. And boy, if I had made this video 9 or 10 years ago, I would have said, go see this person or that person while they're still around and touring and living. Because over the last 10 years, there have been a couple of musicians who have passed on. One person in 2017 was Tom Petty, and boy, that came out of nowhere. And he was not even in his 70s yet. He was in his mid 60s. And then in 2023, Gordon Lightfoot passed away. And that was only, 6 or 7 months after he had last performed. And originally in that year, Gordon Lightfoot was supposed to go out on the road again and perform, maybe about 40 concerts in that year. And yeah, both of those musicians passing were a loss for those of us who love music, and particularly music from an older time. And yeah, when we think back to the music of older times, people who made music in the 50s and 60s and 70s, I think it's safe to say that at this point, a lot of us hold that music in the highest regard. There were a lot of amazing recordings where everything was real instruments, and also there were a lot of fun songs and songs that revolutionized music. There were a lot of historical albums and great melodies, and a number of songs and albums from that time live on today. And really, the generations of musicians that we have left at this point are the ones who made their first albums in the 1960s and the 1970s. I know that if things had turned out different, then we still could have had, well, at least two guys who made their first albums in the 50s. You know, Johnny Cash and Elvis Presley. If they were both still alive today, they would be in their 90s. But Johnny Cash and Elvis Presley have passed on. And today, we still have a decent number of musicians who started out in the 1960s and the 1970s. And I really think of this, well, I've been thinking this actually ever since the 2010s. I really think in the 2010s decade, that feeling started to become a real thing among the fans and the people in the record industry. We were all really starting to think that there is only so much time left with these people who are now in their 60s and 70s, and we should appreciate them with whatever they have left to say with their music and with whatever concert tours they may have left. And very recently, I went to see Ringo Starr in concert. And yeah, this was in earlier September of this year, September 2025. And I can now say that I feel a little bit more relief and satisfaction, because now I can say it that I have seen the two remaining Beatles in concert at least once. Paul McCartney 9 years ago and Ringo Starr in this year. And yeah, this is the motivation to anyone out there, and even for me, that with whoever is left from that time and whoever is out there touring, then yeah, check out the list of concert dates in the next few years and see if some of these people are performing in your hometown, or maybe an hour away, 2 hours away, or even think of getting a hotel if it's 3 hours away. You know, a fun hotel trip for a night, and try to see the people who are still out there and performing. And really, I would just like to say that as of right now, in the final months of 2025 and going into the year of 26, 27, 28, and 29, well, of course, I would hope that the people I am going to list here still have another 5 years to perform. But the people who are still out there performing at the moment would be Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, Bob Dylan, and Judy Collins. I know that those four musicians still seem to be performing, well, at least a few concert dates a year, or maybe a couple dozen. And sometimes I know that they can be in Europe for a little bit before they come back to the US. But I know that those four musicians are still touring consistently as of right now, and I would hope that they have a few years left of performing. And some other people out there, gosh, and I know that these are two people that I still have not seen, and I really need to look for a concert date in the next few years if I can see them, because I want to see them. I know one person I would love to see is Willie Nelson, and I think he still performs, maybe a dozen concerts a year. And then one other person that I would love to see is Cher, at least once. And from what I read in an interview from recently, I think it was in this year, maybe this was something that Cher said or a fan said it, that Cher might have one more concert tour left. She might have one tour left. And yeah, if Cher is performing anywhere close to you, or if she is performing anywhere close to where I am, then yeah, that is an idea to consider. Because with all of these people, they are now at the point where they could pass on, or they could retire with plenty of money for the rest of their time on Earth. And so, yeah, just look at who might be performing over the next few years with the people that I have mentioned. And if there's anyone else from that time that intrigues you and they might be performing close enough to where you are, I would say go for it. Either, with your budget, put some money towards seeing one of these people or a couple of these people in concert, or work for it and save up the money and go see some of these legendary people in concert at least once. And I know that with these people who are up there in age, in their 70s and 80s, sure, they may not be able to hit all the high notes like they used to, but really, I would just like to say that there can still be some good performances at times where these musicians can still hit every note in a song. And the really satisfying feeling is when you can say that I got to see them. I got to see them. And I enjoyed hearing them sing. And if you're lucky, some of them might tell an interesting story about a song or something in their life. I know recently when I saw Ringo Starr, that was the first time I learned the story of what inspired the song, I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden with you. The story of Octopus's Garden. That was something neat to hear. And yeah, the musicians in that time, the musicians from that time still can put on an interesting show and a memorable show. And I know that I am very glad with my list of people that I have seen in my life. And right now, with whoever's left, there still could be time for you to see some of these people. And also, just to say, I don't really know if there's going to be much performing left for these two guys, but I know that Art Garfunkel occasionally does a concert, like maybe just 5 or 10 concerts a year. It's hard to say if he's going to perform much more over the next few years. And it may be mostly in New York. And then with Paul Simon, well, Paul Simon, 7 years ago, he was on his farewell tour, and then he came back in this year, 2025, and he performed A Quiet Celebration, as it was called. And knowing how Paul Simon still really loves to perform, well, if you give Paul Simon another 5 or 10 years, then maybe there could be one more concert tour for him. I cannot promise that for Paul Simon or Art Garfunkel, and I cannot promise that the both of them are going to reunite and perform together one more time. But like I've said a couple of times in this video, just keep an eye on the musicians that I have named here today, and anyone else from that time who might intrigue you. And over the next year, the next few years, see where they are performing. And if you can do it, if you can afford it or work for it, I would say go for it. I would really say go for it. Yeah, I hope that maybe this can happen for you. Whoever out there is listening, I hope that you might be able to see 1 or 2 legendary performers in concert at one point from that time. And I hope that with whatever concerts you do see, that you are safe and you have fun, and it can be a good, memorable experience for you. I just thought I would share that today because this has been on my mind very recently in this month. And yeah, best of luck to you with everything that's going on. And if you ever get interested in seeing someone in concert, I hope that you can get the tickets on time and that it can be a good experience for you. And as always, I hope you have enjoyed listening to another talking video today. So, thank you for listening. Stay well, and I will see you all later again really soon. Thank you.